Hello, today I'm going to be talking about the TV medium and its effects on learning. So, often when we have education in mind, we might think of classrooms, lecture halls, books, even video lectures and TV. And I want to focus on the TV aspect today. Educational TV, does that really exist? Let's find out. So my major reasons for TV not being as effective for learning are: number one, there are no prerequisites to viewing. So when I consume a video, perhaps one like I'm recording now, usually I don't feel like I have to know, let's say, the rules of algebra or some sort of law of physics. Maybe after the prerequisite might be the language, but that's kind of a given. There's no need for me to remember any information, which means that there's also no need for sequential learning or any continuity. Now, there's an issue with that because thought itself is sequential and usually requires some continuity, right? At the beginning of this video, if I was saying something entirely different and off-piste from the words I'm delivering now, then it would be quite hard to follow on. Whereas in a lot of TV programs, you get one piece of information in one episode and then nothing in the next, and it also, there's often an effect where it's like, okay, now we're moving on to this. Whereas with books, usually it's chapter based, it's very long and focused on each idea, but the chapters are all linked together in a nice sequential order. And this just completely undermines, like I say, learning and the general pace of thought. So no prerequisites, yes, anyone can watch it, anyone can consume, learning is more accessible to people. However, the continuity is what allows for longer term thought development and learning overall. So that's one downside. The second downside is no perplexity or lack of induction of perplexity in the viewer. By perplexity, I mean having something to remember or to slightly wrestle with in your mind. So usually in lectures, we often take exams, or there are fundamental rules, let's say, of mathematics that you just have to have learned and memorized to be able to understand the next. That ties in a little bit to the sequential argument, but the reason there's no perplexity in TV is because perplexity lowers viewership. Because if I have to stop and think about something, or I have to memorize something, for God forbid, why would I sit there and wrestle with the TV where I can just flick the channel and watch something else? But I'm using channel and sort of older TV media terms, but this also applies to YouTube and the modern World Wide Web era of video education. And yeah, so there's enough to remember, enough to memorize, no perplexity. Perplexity is where a lot of learning happens. The third downside is no exposition. So it's kind of similar to the point two, but there's no exposition, there's no arguments, discourse, room for reason. So when we watch a TV program, often we're not going to pause it and then actually think about what this person said and go, do I really agree with that? Is that a good argument? Can I come up with a counter argument that perhaps is superior? That if you're doing that, then I honestly think you're probably in the 0.01% of the population, because I never do that. Whereas in print medium, you can read a passage, pause, maybe take a note, maybe look outside, put the book down, wander back, read it again, and there's way more room for attacking the author sort of intellectually with your arguments, and more room for discourse. Even in a lot of books, there's two arguments posed side by side often in times, whereas that is not often the case in TV unless you're watching a debate program. But even then, it's like person A speaks for super large amount of time. As by the time person B comes around, you've often forgot what person A said, and even not even that. Oftentimes on like political panels as well, there'll be 4 people. There'll be person A, B, C, D. A will say something, then B will interrupt, and then C will interrupt, and then it's just a constant interrupt of like 3 or 5 minutes, and no one can really say their full opinion. So you just get short little sound bites of everyone, and it just ends up in being a total mess because there's no coherent way to remember all the arguments. So there's a lack of true exposition. Of course, there's like discourse, but often it's fake in the sense that it's just overlapping each other and there's no real substance to it. So that's also the reason why TV is often produced in a manner that favors storytelling, because everyone can follow along with a story, but not many people can stop, think critically and make arguments. For example, I don't know, Jack and Jill went up the hill and so that's just a really silly example, but you get the idea, right? A, B, C, start, middle, end. Oh, I can just follow that along. Whereas if you go from start, middle, actually, the premise that he made there is actually false premise, and now I don't believe in it. No one's stopping to do that, is what I'm trying to say. So those are the 3 main downsides of TV when in use for education. Fundamentally, TV just lacks what is, I would argue, the core foundation for learning and thinking in general. Now, that doesn't mean TV is bad, but it's probably not effective as an educational medium. So use it for what it is supposed to be used for, which is entertainment. That's the core idea that I want to express in this video. Just to add something on the end, recently I've been creating more than I consume on social media. Well, that's the plan. I've been doing this for a few days now, and I want to carry on doing it over the next couple of months and see how that actually affects my psychology and well-being. So I'll be sharing updates on that later on. But yeah, I hope what I said here maybe opens your mind up to the possibility that education might be better off done in print media. And it's a little bit ironic because I am making a video about this, and it's a monologue, and I do try to keep my videos as, I guess, educational as possible and try and keep things in line with what helps learning, but I can't also stop every 3 minutes and go, okay, so what do you really think about that? Do you think that premise that I make, there is a limit to the medium, and that's sort of what I'm expressing. So I think I'll leave it there before I ramble myself into infinity, but yeah, I hope that helped, and feel free to subscribe, leave me a comment, or send me an Instagram DM if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much. Goodbye.